Good morning, good morning. This is Melody Reels at the Iowa Quilt Museum, running a minute late. I have a good reason, and I'll get to that in a second. I'm here in Winterset, Iowa at the Iowa Quilt Museum. Welcome if this is your first time. Welcome back if it's not. If you haven't heard it enough, it's Iowa Quilt Festival this week. I've been talking about it for so long. We had our first day yesterday, 3 classes. It was great. Our retreaters showed up, and I think everybody had a really good time, especially the class, Conversations with Improv. And we're going to continue Conversations with Improv because I have special guests this morning, and I'm flipping it around, and there's my special guest. And so there you are, ladies. To the left, in the blue is Deb Cashatt, and then in the center is Susan Lapham, and then we have Niraja Lorenz on the my right. Maybe your left. I don't know. Anyway, so they agreed to come in this morning and talk with us. So thank you, ladies, for coming in. We kind of tossed around what we wanted to do, and I think we landed on we're going to just continue your conversations about, and we've picked out some quilts here to talk about. Who wants to go first?
Well, we started with that.
All right. So this one is, yep, this is Niraja's abstract number. Number 16.
This is a series I've been working on for many years. I think I'm up to number 28 now. And my Strange Attractor series are all based on a hexagonal form. So a 6-sided figure. And I always feel like I call them attractors because they pull you in and you have to get a really good look at it. A strange attractor is a term that comes from chaos theory and mathematics. And a strange attractor is one that has a fractal form, which is a repeating form at many dimensions. Now,
and you should talk about why that's important to you.
Yes, I was going to say.
Okay, you'll get there.
So there's like 3 reasons why I chose that title. One is it just sounds cool. What's a strange attractor? And then it kind of applied, but more important is that my father was involved in chaos theory research. And so by naming them strange attractors, it just is sort of honoring him and reminds me of him a lot.
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
Well, I get questions about men in quilting, and I'm like, it's mathematics. So yeah, right? It's engineering, and so anybody, it's meant for anybody. Definitely. And yeah, so I get a lot on this quilt. One of the perspectives I get is it's like looking down at a city. Like this is a hotel, and that's like a pool around it, or and there's like these because we have skywalks in the Midwest. I don't know if you know what a skywalk is, but they were like, that's a skywalk to the other buildings, and that's a park down there. I love listening to people and how their brain tries to make sense of what they're seeing.
I do too, and I don't make it to necessarily represent anything. But as I'm working on it, it'll tell a story to me too.
Well, it provokes conversation, correct?
Exactly.
I mean, and for me, I'm thoroughly interested in people and their experiences, and so your life experience is going to speak to you differently,
right.
Or your art's going to speak to them differently.
Sort of dimension that people often see is that it's a magnification of something that's looking through
a microscope.
Microscope.
Yeah, that's what I think of when I look at your stuff. Is I'm usually, especially,
I see it as looking down on something, and that 3-legged one is like a drone, maybe.
Oh.
Above the drone.
Well, when I think about especially when you bring up looking at through a microscope, and when you come in and you see this quilting, I think of something that's got fractured, and then you've got your pebbles and the cells, and it's just I just love listening to what draws people. I'm always asking people what's their favorite and what draws you to it and why is that, and and it's
fascinating for me to hear that too.
Right? Yeah, to hear it's the color or it's something about the design. I have to say one of the craziest ones I get a lot of comment. What people see is that one on the featured wall, which we're not showing you. We'll show it to you another time. But it's so funny to hear some of the things and you're like, oh, okay. I don't see it, but I'm glad you do, So, I love the detail. I mean, all this, I love telling people that this is not printed fabric, that's all pieced. All these stripes, that's not printed. And then the next question that comes after I tell them that is why. Why would somebody cut something so tiny? Why would we? And it's because it's art, and because
it's beautiful for me. I mean,
Yeah.
I love doing it, and you'll find this kind of structure in a lot of my pieces where there's sections of strip piecing and different kinds of boxes, and it's just really fun to put it together, and I love the way it looks. It makes
Yeah.
a great background.
yeah, it absolutely does. And
you wouldn't find those stripes in the fabric store, right?
No.
You would, your color combinations that you put together, right?
Yeah.
You know.
yeah, it's a lot of. I mean,
Well,
even
I think the stripes show the hand of the maker.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas most stripes that you buy in a fabric store are very even and rigid
Right.
and straight, and that's fine for some things, but it's just really nice to have your own hand. And
Look at that brown one with the beige.
well, go ahead, go point it.
Go point. This one.
Oh yeah, where it's the gradation of the fabric of the color. Is that what you're talking
No,
about?
the one, the white one. That.
Oh, this
that
one up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the lines aren't perfect, but isn't it just an exciting little box?
Yeah. Well, I even like and you were pointing here, but I'm pointing. I
Yes.
love the gradation of the color tone, and even in here, you've got these very electric, vibrant blue, these burgundies, and these deep colors, and then when you go up to this corner, it just kind of calms down, and I find that so interesting. And the bright spot in the middle of the green, and just how, your eye goes to the lightest point, right? So I'm drawn to that, is going to the lighter spot.
nice contrast with the white.
Right. And that dark, dark burgundy. Right. It's so interesting.
It's fascinating for me to look at. I haven't seen it hanging in a long time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's great. Yeah.
All right. Let's swing over to Susan's. Boop. You're on. Hello. Okay. So when I read about you, what was your career? What did you do?
I was a statistician.
Yeah. Yeah.
Math.
Yeah. And that's what I love. I feel like even though these are not straight, or when people look at yours, it's always a city view of streets, parks, buildings, very, and yeah. But not at the same time, right? All three of you are just breaking rules all over the place, right? So talk about this one. This one is Playland number 3.
Number 3. So my Playland series is about Playland, which is an amusement park in Rye, New York, where my older brother and I spent a lot of time in high school. And I decided to make this series of all of the different sort of memorable moments from when we were at Playland. So Playland is not just an amusement park, it's actually on the beach, and it has a huge saltwater swimming pool and a boardwalk, and then it has this wildlife, nature area adjacent to it with these beautiful walkways through the wetland, and you can look at the birds. And so when my brother wasn't with me, and I happened to be with some other person, we went to the nature preserve, and that's where I got my first kiss.
Oh, that's so sweet. I'm so glad we picked this one.
But don't tell my husband.
We'll keep it a secret. Just us and Facebook. Well, and then YouTube. And that's
So
it.
it's quieter in terms of color than the other Playland series. It's, supposed to evoke this feeling of calm and nature.
Yeah, with the greens in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even the purple is as deep as it is. It's very soothing. It's not electric like the blue in the next one. Everything's just kind of, and if there is something that's bright, I mean, you have this pink. It's really kind of muted down.
Yeah. All of these are sort of muted compared to.
Yeah.
And I left more white space in this one to, again, represent more calm.
Did you have
Say
something?
about the quilting on it?
Yeah.
One thing I notice is that, while it's densely quilted, there are spaces that are just slightly different that are giving it more texture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this, because I'd be wrong, is it matchstick quilting?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. Whew.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, good.
And it's very fine. It's about 11 lines per inch.
So the big question is how is that done? Because people are asking, is this put in the computer and the machine does it? Is this hand done? Go ahead.
So my husband quilts all of my quilts for me. I am extremely lucky. He has a long arm, and he bought it 14 years ago, and started quilting all of my quilts. So he does have a computer on his long arm, but he uses what's called channel locks to do these quilts. So he'll do a line, he'll walk, and do a line.
Sure.
And then he'll walk back.
Okay.
Another line. And then the channel locks, lock the distance, the space between it. So that's what keeps it relatively even.
Okay.
But, he watches baseball a lot and football. And so there are kind of like places where someone scored a home run.
Okay, so this is where it gets confusing to me because I think it's machine done, but it's got to be self-guided.
Yeah.
Because there's this in there.
Yeah. There's gaps and there's little blips and.
Which I love, though. I mean, I hope
it makes it.
Yeah.
Handmade.
Yeah, exactly.
Does the channel lock keep it from crossing the previous line? Or
No, because you can force it to like jump the channel lock.
Oh, okay.
Which if you're excited about
A touchdown or a home run. Yeah. That's fantastic. So did he take up quilting to do something with you, to share?
Yeah, we spent years and years and years going to quilt shows and traveling all over, and he would always end up with the long arm dealers in the
Funny. Yeah.
quilt festivals and shows. And I knew that I could always find him there. And for years he would say to me, "Honey, don't you want to buy a long arm?" And I'd say, "Nope, no interest. The quilting is not my thing.
Right.
I want a piece."
Right.
And one year I just got sick of him saying, "Honey, don't you want to buy a long arm?"
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I said, "Buy your own long arm." And so he did a lot of research and, found out which company that he wanted to buy the long arm from, and he bought his long arm and had it set up, and he started quilting, my work. But he has a business now. He quilts for mostly traditional quilters.
How
in the
long?
area.
When did he start quilting?
2012, 2013.
Okay.
It's been
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Did you quilt your own work before he got the long arm?
I did.
How? Okay, but you
Also
didn't
sort of
want.
matchstick?
No, I never did matchstick until
We would. Okay, so how did you quilt your own? Self-guided on a machine?
Probably,
Oh, okay.
yeah, self-guided on a domestic, small
Yeah.
domestic,
Mm-hmm.
and mostly echo quilting.
But it wasn't something of the art. This piecing was more, and that's what I try to tell people too. This is two art pieces. You've got the piecing of the quilt is on its own, and then quilting is another art in itself because it can distract, right, or enhance. And that's where I think your quilting and yours too. Well, and in yours, it just adds dimension and movement, which I love. Yeah.
And how do you decide on the color of the thread?
Of the thread? When I first started working with John on doing the matchstick quilting, we were trying to pick a neutral color that kind of just went with everything. But I really didn't like the lighter thread on the dark fabrics.
Yeah.
So then I just went wild, and so red thread on black fabric is perfect. You don't see the red,
Oh,
but
really?
you don't see the white or the lighter
Sure.
color, which I think is distracting.
You think it's distracting? Because I just love, especially in this section right here with the purple and the black and the green, and then you have those white. It's so, because it is so subtle though at the same time.
Yeah, and especially if you stand back, you don't really see
Right,
it at all.
right,
It's kind
right.
of like
It does really pop in the black and especially the
Yeah.
brown here too.
But it changes the color when you have this dense of quilting,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I could
to
see that,
And
yeah.
I love right where you're doing.
Okay.
That just glows from a distance. That blue and purple together,
Yeah. Yeah.
or gray and purple. I'm not sure what color.
I-
it is.
it's like a,
this one,
let's say steel.
Some of the rules that I used to create this one, I had a whole bunch of leftover strips. So like this would have been one where it was a black and a blue together, and then this one would have been a purple and a green and a purple. And I just had this big pile, and so one of my rules was you have to use that pile of strips.
Yeah, I overheard you talking about rules yesterday, and I didn't. When I look at your quilts, I think there are no rules, but you are creating rules.
Yeah, before I start a piece, I typically make like, like use up this pile of
Okay.
fabric, or use these colors, or like the piece over there, that's the bumper car piece.
Right, that I featured a couple weeks
One of
ago.
my rules was all the red had to be on the right and all the blue had to be on the left, because it's about bumper cars, and I'm the red bumper car and my brother David is the blue bumper car.
Oh, that's so
And
great.
So that was one of the rules, but it just helps me get started and get beyond that fear of, oh my gosh, what am I going to do, and how
Right.
am I going to get this all done?
It does seem daunting when you see something, any of yours, and you just go, where did, and that's a question I get a lot, is where did they even start? Like, was it something that you had already mapped out, or is it grow as you make it? And then the other is always, number one question, regardless of what is in here, how long did it take you? And so I usually,
One took a month.
a month.
Start to end. Like
Okay.
the first piece on the wall to finish facing and label took a month.
Wow. Do you all know that? I mean, because usually, like your time frame, you shot out the Hawkeye one in.
But very little time.
Yeah. Because
Wanted it to be here.
sometimes, especially when it's more traditional blocks and quilting, I'm like, they might start it and they are tired of it and they want to do something else, so they don't even know the hours. So that's usually my stock is like they typically don't know themselves because.
I usually work on one large piece at a time, so I can tell when I started by the first photo that I took.
Oh yeah.
Photo, and so many pieces this size, I'll spend 3 months on the top.
Okay. Yeah.
And on these, I was part of a collaborative group, and we had 2 months from the date of the theme, the prompt, to finish. So we got the prompt, we had to come up with an idea, execute it, and have it finished 2 months later.
Okay.
So shout out to Cloth in Common, because that's what happened.
And that's actually one of the reasons Deb and I got to know each other.
Wait. Okay. Before or after you had done the online? Because
I probably
Way before.
yeah. Okay.
And so this one, which is called Putting on My Face,
Yeah.
is the prompt was face. And I didn't want to do a face.
A portrait.
A portrait or anything like that. So my grandmother always said she was putting on her face when she would put on her makeup. Now, she didn't wear much makeup, and she was a gardener and a rancher, and, so I didn't see her ever with nail polish on. But so that's what started my prompt. Is okay, putting on her face. So there's a tube of makeup there.
There's a compact.
There's
Yeah.
a compact. There's
Hairspray.
all kinds of things.
Mascara.
The mascara, which she never wore, but cat's eye glasses. I think she had some.
Yeah.
Brushes and combs
Combs.
and all that. So,
Yeah.
And so that's where that got started. And I just love the Greek key, that meander thing. And so when I see things, I say, how can I put that Greek key in?
Yeah. You have it in. Do you have it in everything?
Just
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
I just, and so it's like, okay, sometimes I'll just make it, and it's like, what? That really looked ugly. So I just put it on the label. But then something like this is like, oh, that looks like a fancy perfume bottle.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's.
Yeah. We'll talk about the nail polish because that was on a wall somewhere, right?
Yes,
Was that?
it's wall of polish. So
Yeah.
I do wear nail polish, not on my hands, but I get my pedicures.
Yeah.
And it's a Vietnamese run shop. And for Tet, they cleaned everything, and they had all their nail polish lined up perfectly. Every color was stocked. And I took a picture and I said, that is just the patterns and the repeat.
Right, yeah.
That
And
was
the
so fun.
color.
And the colors. And so I bought every shade of red, pink, coral that Art Gallery Solids had, which turned out to be like 42 different
I
shades.
think that you have your name down here too.
Yes, and so I've started piecing my name in
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. It's a
And-
lot of fun. This is a lot.
And
Of
then
course, young women are really drawn to this one.
And of course I have to have, my derelict bottles, my ones that
Yeah, yes.
spill, or the one that's threatening to topple the whole shelf.
Yep, domino effect there. Yeah, no, it's great. So tell me, like, your pieces here. So, I mean, it's not just a solid piece of fabric that you're, you have your piecing.
Like all of us, yeah. We
Yeah.
just come together. It's like, okay, that could be a wedge. What that wedge shape is.
And around your round
and around my
bottles.
little bottles. So there's little tiny things to cut off a square to make them sort of round.
Yeah.
And
So tell about the quilting then. So you quilt all your own.
I do. I'm
Yeah.
looking for a long armor. So any of you out there that want to be a long armor.
There's her plea. There's her plea.
But again, I like that meander pattern.
Yeah, you do.
So I just put
Yeah,
it in.
'cause there's
And
that Greek.
There's that key, and
Yeah.
I try not to put in too many of them. But
Yeah.
I have little comb things
Yeah.
or Y's or and
So is this all self-guided then as well?
yeah, it's all just.
You sound so tired saying it. Yeah, this is all. Well, and I love the way your use of the metallic thread too, and this
I
one
thought
in your
this
buildings too.
Needed
Yeah,
metallic thread.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just really
You can
wanted
see
to
those really
sparkle.
sparkle
you
in
can't
there.
see it sparkle when it's on the camera, but
no,
it does
I mean
sparkle.
this one probably shows it up the best in here, but it's in here, it's in here, it's around the lipstick. Yeah, yeah. Well, I love that out of the three pieces, because we just picked this cove because you're all right here, but you talked about your connection to your dad, you talked about your connection to your park and your brother and a first kiss, and then the connection to your grandma and the, well, thank you so much for joining. We're going on 25 minutes-ish, so, but if you stayed to watch this whole video and you loved hearing what they had to say, today, from noon to 1 to 3, they're doing a Q&A at the movie theater here in town in Winterset, if you're nearby. And then tonight at 5 o'clock, we're doing a gallery walk. So we're receiving people from 5 to 5:30, and then at 5:30, they're going to start their gallery walk and talk about all these pieces in here. And so you're welcome to come, and your support here helps support the museum. So your purchase of coming to their gallery walk or their lecture is a big help to us. So, all right, I'm going to flip the camera around so they can see. I'm usually my hair is messed up with my glasses. Thank you everybody for joining, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.